Hey guys, I'm David and welcome to Living with the Coopers. Today I want to talk to you about why I hate flying and what I'm going to do to get over it. Okay, so to begin, I've got to go back about 20 years to my first ever flight. I was about 11 or 12 and it was to Tenerife, which is in the Canary Islands. I'd never been on a plane before, never even really given it much thought, but I remember being excited about it, and that was something that I don't get anymore, unfortunately. But we went to the airport, got on the plane, and I remember sitting there, not even nervous, just thinking, this is amazing. But I was sat there, and then at the end of the runway, and then all of a sudden we start going, taking off, and I loved it. Like, absolutely loved it. It was my favourite part of the trip. I mean, I remember being in Tenerife and thinking, I cannot wait to go home so I can go back on a plane. The next holiday we had, which was to Malta, I think it was the year after, we were going with a few of my aunties and uncles and cousins, and I remember sitting in my auntie Anne's house and with my cousin Louise. They were a little bit nervous because they'd never been flying before. So I was just saying, there's nothing to worry about. And I remember I was sitting in a chair in the kitchen and I was saying, it's brilliant. You just sit in the seat. And then, the engines, you hear the big roar of the engines, and then all of a sudden you're going like this. And I was leaning back in the chair, almost falling off. And, you go up and it's brilliant. And then you touchdown's amazing. It was brilliant. And I genuinely felt that way. Now, on the way to Malta, I absolutely loved it once again. Malta's got the shortest international airport in Europe, I believe. It did at the time anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I believe it was the shortest or commercial airport in Europe at the time. So it was quite a nervy landing, but it was still fine. We landed fine. All the weather was always great. Now, the problem started on the way home from Malta. We got to our plane, beautiful sunny day in August, and my mother was wondering why there was loads of water pouring out of the plane. And basically what had happened, it looked like they were fueling and it was fuel leak, but it wasn't. It was just, obviously it gets iced up when it's up there, coming back down, then the ice, it all defrosts and it started, it wasn't gushing out, but there was a leak of water and it was just from the ice. We asked, an air stewardess or whatever, and she was fine. But my mother then had a little bit of a panic attack. Then that made me have a bit of a panic attack, and that was it. From then on, that's the moment where my flying life kind of came to a bit of a halt. What made things a little bit worse for my mother was when we were on that flight. This was before 9/11, obviously. At the time, you could go and meet the pilot, and it was only a small plane anyway. So we went to the pilot, and they were saying, "Oh, hi, yeah, you're scared?" And I wasn't that scared at the time, but my mother was more so. "Oh, yeah, I'm scared." And what scared her even more is the fact that the windscreen, if you call it windscreen on a plane, I don't know, but yeah, the windscreen had newspaper all over it, so you couldn't see anything out of it. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, how do you see? How do you see?" And they were like, "This is how we see." And they pointed to all the instruments. And obviously, even back then, 20 years ago, it was mega advanced. These planes can basically fly themselves. They don't need to see. If they saw something come in, it'd be too late anyway. So that was fine. We sat back down, got off the plane. Didn't have a holiday for a couple of years. The next holiday, we went to Ibiza. On the way there, the flight was absolutely terrible. The stewardesses had to strap themselves in for the majority of the flight because the turbulence was so bad. I thought, this is it. This is how I die. I'm going to die on this plane now. My legs were shaking. I wasn't crying. I'd kind of gone past that. I'd accepted it by this point. But we had a terrible flight. I mean, the plane was literally doing this. I don't even think we got to have our food on that flight. And I stared at one spot on the fold-out tray for near enough the whole flight. And I didn't fly until about 3 years ago. So it was a good 14 years I didn't go on a plane. I'm not comfortable with the thought of dying on a plane. Not that that's going to happen. The terrorism, I know, has put a few people off, but that doesn't really bother me. Because I think if I was in that situation, then I'd do anything I could to stop whatever was happening. And just the sheer length of waiting round up that high. You know, it's kind of like when you're up there. I mean, it's not a horrible place to be in a cabin of a plane. It's just, you're all the way up there. I mean, cruising altitude, about 33,000 feet, that's about 6.7 miles, or almost 7 miles high. And that's quite high. And I look down and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I always want to sit by the window as well. I hate it. I really hate it. Before the TV show, I had to have a psychological evaluation. A psychologist was put in touch with us. All of us had to do it. It was all to be, because it was kind of like reality based. It was basically prepping us for what could come after it. Luckily, nothing really bad happened. None of us were in the press or anything. But it was all over Skype. The psychologist who dealt with me, he then went on to talk about my flying, like why I'm scared, and he came up with some really cool points about it is the safest form of transport. If you had to have, every time there's a plane crash, it's on the news because it's such a big thing. Because they don't happen that often. Whereas if they put every fatal car crash on TV, you'd have to have channels and channels dedicated to 24/7. And those kind of things helped me. He also said, have a look at takeoff and landing videos online. I think we were on a 737 going out, and he said, check out those taking off and landing and get used to the idea of all that. And it kind of did soothe me a little bit, but when it comes to lack of sleep and stuff and your brain starts thinking the worst, it just didn't work. I want to get over my fear of flying because I do not want to hold my little girl back from going to the most amazing places on earth. I mean, there's places in the world that I cannot wait to see. In my wallet right now, I have got one less coin than I did. I've got something that was given to me about 10 years ago. It's a 50-cent coin from America. Damien, now guitarist, gave it to me, or Ken, his father, gave it to me. And my thing is, America, I want to go. And my thing is, this is going to be the first money that I ever spend when I go to America. We recently went to Euro Disney and we drove down rather than flying. I'd rather drive anyway, it's more fun for me. But, that would have saved a lot of time. And when we were there, we thought, how amazing is it going to be in America? And I need to do it. I've just got to do it. I need to see the world. I don't want to be on my deathbed thinking, I can't believe I never did it. And it's almost choking me up. The thought of missing out on the world because I'm scared of flying, because 1 in a billion flights have problems. So what am I going to do to get over it? I don't quite know yet. Now, I've talked to a few people who've had chronic fear of flying. My Uncle Robert is one. What he did is he bought a British Airways book, something along the lines of Take the Fear Out of Flying. Now, he hasn't got the book anymore. He thought he'd lent it to my mother. My mother couldn't find it. So I'm going to try and find something along those lines, because if it's come from BA, I think he said it was quite in-depth about how planes actually work. So I want to get that. I want to know exactly what's going on. Basically, I just need to just forget about it. Pardon the term, but I think I just need to man up and just get on and enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it's a nice form of transport. I'm going to Berlin for Matt's Stag Do, and I'm terrified. I can't wait to go on the Stag Do, but I'm terrified, and it's put a dampener on it because I'm scared of flying. And it's just to Berlin. It's 2 hours. It's nothing. But I'm that scared of flying that it's making me, if I could drive, I would drive. And Matt, I know you'd be watching this. If I could drive to your Stag Do, I would drive. It's 18 hours. That's fine by me. But, to me, that's preferable than flying. And I can't be like that for the rest of my life. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get my head in it. I'm going to think of my little girl, think about my family, and just try and make the most of it. I'm going to film every time I'm on a plane from now on, because I want to see how ridiculous I am. Hopefully I look utterly ridiculous, and I'll put it up every time. I do not want to be that person. I'm not going to film myself and then edit it so I look like Yes, look at me, I'm fine. If I cry on a plane, if I'm in a panic, you are all going to see it. Because I need you all to see it so I can get over it. And that's basically it. I mean, I could probably go on again for... Like, I could talk for hours about it. Because there's loads of little things I missed out. But, I mean, this is me. This is what I'm scared of. And if you... Please, and I'm... This, like, I've reached out to you guys before, but please, if you have got any advice for me, then please send it my way, because I need to get over this. I can't... I'm okay with being scared of spiders. That's fine. Like, if there's a spider in the house, I've got a spider catcher. But I can't get to America without being on a plane. Unless I went by boat. And that'll take ages. I think it's like 9 days. I was going to go to New Zealand once, and I looked to get there by boat. It takes 40 days. And I considered it. What's wrong with me? It's a 24-hour flight, but I mean, come on. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you soon. I'm scared.